No lipstick all around my cup. Some cute lips. That's my laptop, my other laptop. Not even a laptop, it's an iPad, a pad. This is ridiculous. Hope you people can join me. Come on out. Come on out. Not you always over here jumping in and out of the picture. Talking about this monster right here. Maybe it's because I have two. Let me see if I just disconnect one.
You see how Gideon has this entire conversation with God. I think it's Judges 13. He has this entire conversation with God. And he's just like, oh my goodness, I had no idea. I want us to take a look at Judges 13.
All right, so let me. No, that's not what I want to do. Hey guys, I'm still trying to get Tickety Talk to work correctly. Yes, I do want to uninstall the app because it's getting on my nerves. Good evening, everyone. Alexa, play gospel piano music off of Kimball's Pandora.
Pandora can't play music based on requests like this yet, but you can try asking for music by a single genre or artist instead.
Oh no, I can because I have it on my playlist. Alexa, play John Coltrane on Kimball's Pandora. Hey, Mom Risa, how are you?
From Kimball's Pandora.
Now you're gonna play it really loud. Electronics, man. But it sounds beautiful. Hello, everybody. Okay, it appears that my yeah, it's gone. TikTok's gonna have to do without me this week because it just is giving me so many problems. Just so many problems. So many problems today. So I'm not on TikTok this evening. I'm trying to connect now. But until that happens, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this Wednesday Track Lounge. It is the last week in February. So this is the second month of 2026, the last week. I believe what? I think Saturday will be March 1st. Something like that. Saturday or Monday, one of them days. But it's just moseying on alarm. Let me put my little timer on. I gotta be there. And I got my little battery in it, so it's glowing brightly. You'll be hearing the noise as it gets down and ticking into an hour and 10 minutes. But good evening, everybody. Mom Reese, I'm glad you're doing well, and I hope you're at home, like my grandma used to say, sitting down, resting. If you need somebody to come wait on you, just ring a bell. Rest your body. Rest your body. God is saying for you to rest your body. Praise God. And your birthday's tomorrow. So give Mom Teresa a shout out on her birthday. Her birthday is tomorrow. My grandson's birthday is not my grandson. My son's birthday is today. He turned 32, and it would have been my grandmother's birthday. So my son and my grandma's birthdays were actually on the same day. But unfortunately, my grandmother isn't here anymore. I don't want to play any games. There you go. Top your ticket. Let's install it. While I'm trying to install TikTok to my tablet again. Let's get into our midweek refuel. Our midweek refuel. Yay. Hey, Miss Carter. Now, I've never done this before. Hey, Brother Van. I went on before early today and seen how many people answered back to that midweek refuel who put their emojis in there and everything. Brother Van put in that he was doing great. He gave up some red emoji hearts. Brother Van. He is on my personal Facebook page. He gave us some. He said he was doing great. Lisa Harris and Pastor James Rice did the same thing I did. I gave up some. I was relaxed and feeling friendly today. I had a couple of conversations on the phone with what seemed like I would have been talking to any of my friends or somebody that was in my circle. So work was a big rush, but it was, I was comfortable. Let's say the Holy Spirit was with me as I was talking on the phone today, which I actually do every day. Then we had a board meeting. You know how meetings go. A lot of said, nothing getting done, right? So big shout out to Lisa Harris, James Rice Jr., and Brother Van for checking in this midweek. But if you didn't check in yet, check in. So if you're doing great, put some red emoji hearts in the comment section. If you're doing great, red emoji hearts. If you're doing okay, I'm gonna have to get this up because it's wilting, right? It's falling apart. This is not purple. This is blue. If you're doing okay, put some blue emoji hearts in a chat. Yellow emoji hearts is for me, maybe whatever. Green, a green emoji heart is if things are tough or you're struggling. Put it in my DMs, guys. I check them all the time. I did go over some things with somebody. It was really comforting knowing that they were trusting me with a situation they were having. Not for them, but for somebody else. They wanted some questions. So if things are tough and you're struggling, give me some green hearts. If you're having a hard time and wouldn't mind if somebody was to reach out to you, this is purple. Give me some purple emoji hearts. If you're having a hard time, I will reach out to you. Go into my DMs. I check them every single day. My DMs, my emails, all my stuff. I just don't go back in and answer or comment on comments. Sometimes it's on my page. I don't got time for that. If you're in a really dark place, this is the broken emoji heart. If you're in a really dark place, it's the broken emoji heart. If you're having harmony, having harmony and balance in your life, this is the pink emoji heart. The pink emoji heart. If you're feeling optimistic and uplifting, put up those orange emoji hearts. I see you, Miss Carla. And Van said happy birthday, Mom Teresa. He said happy birthday. If you're having a day like this is my favorite emoji. Throw up some brown emoji hearts. If this was happening to you today, throw up some brown emoji hearts. That just makes me laugh. Minimum work, you would blank. Just didn't feel like it. Mixed emotions. Give me those white emoji hearts. You didn't struggle through the day. It was just like he was like, I'm here, but I'm not here. Don't question me. I understand. Mixed emotions with those type of graphics around them. Give me those white emoji hearts. Miss Carla threw up the light blue emoji heart. Awesome. If you're cool, self-restraint with a bit of humbleness, Throw up those gray emoji hearts. I'm going to give a shout out to my daughter, Tamara. I was able to hang out with her on Saturday. She graced my presence for a little bit. I'm telling her, hey, what's going on? Mommy is fine. I love when I can hang out with my children. Van, Mother Teresa said, thank you for the birthday shout outs. Please, and Van is saying, please pray for all those who are still cleaning up from last Sunday's non-Easter snow storm. Van, we're about to get more snow. We're about to get more snow. So yeah, my block is a real small block. They did plow down it the first time it snowed, but they didn't plow down it the second time. And it's icy now. So we got to be careful. A small block, you only park on one side of the street. And on the other side of the street, you can't park. Well, you're not supposed to because the houses are on there. But people do park on the pavement. So we got to be careful not to hit each other's cars when we're going down a block. And my block is a long block. It starts from the 300 and it ends at the 2. And I'm on the 400. So yeah, we got to be careful. If you're feeling relaxed and friendly, Miss Carter, you can still, listen. I'll taste the rainbow tonight if I could. You can, yes, if you're feeling minimal, you was there, you checked in, you checked out, absolutely, absolutely. With the white emoji hearts, absolutely. And again, I put the relaxed and friendly up there today because again, I just had a smooth, ongoing conversations with everybody that called the line for me. I can say I was a really good listener today, and that's what I asked God to do, to just let me listen. Sometimes you can't fix people's problems. They just want you to listen, no matter how bad it sounds. They just want you to listen. So my ears was open into listening this morning. Any anger or sadness, which is the black emoji heart. Anybody feeling any anger or sadness? I throw it up there. And as my therapist Carl would say, we don't like to deal with the anger or the sadness. It's just something that we want to throw away. So I do like to talk about that. If you're having any anger, some sadness, put it in the chat if you want to, and we can just work that thing through. And my last emoji heart is the flaming heart. It's the flaming heart. Frustrated, fussy, throw that little flaming emoji heart up there. If you're frustrated or fussy, throw that little gray emoji, the flaming heart up there. Guys, I'm going to tell you tonight's topic is really, really a hard one. If you are triggered, I will tell you to just unlog. And if I have your number, I will reach out to you. And I'm just saying this because it's a hard subject for me as well. I don't as much get triggered anymore. I just get really intense about letting everybody know what's going on and what they should be watching out for on with this. This is a nasty disease. 0630. This thing is getting on my everlasting nerves. This tablet's a bunch of work. It's a bunch of work. It is. Okay. We'll see what they'll just join in when they join in, right? So this is part 3 of the Unheard Cries, living with hidden secrets. This is part 3, and this is dealing with sexual trauma. Part 1 was physical abuse, and we noticed from part 1, untreated damages with physical abuse will tend to lead to mental health issues like depression, anxiety, and feeling helpless. Mom Teresa said, I was just told there was a big fighting abound in Philly, ages 13 to 49. Some people got shot, and some. Now, was that the shootout that we were hearing? I can't text her because I heard shooting. Mom, what time was it? I heard shooting earlier today. Me and my husband. I was like, this sounds close. Hold on, guys. Yeah, I can't. I'm sorry. TikTok is not tonight. I just can't do it. It's taking me too many motions. So let's just cancel you guys out. There we go. I'll just look at a pretty beautiful screen. So yeah, and then with that they did so it was almost 13. And does that have something to do with, because it was on the news tonight that they, got a couple of gangs that was affiliated with a lot of shootings over the summertime and killings. One of them was way up in West Philadelphia. So yeah, they it's and people were saying, well, people that I know that I was talking to, ain't no gangs in Philly. Don't lie to yourself. They're everywhere. Y'all talking about the Bloods and the Crips. There's gangs everywhere. There was gangs out when my dad was younger, and they were gang warned while they were going to school. He would tell me the story. So they're still going on. And these gangs out here now, where a lot of kids are impulsive and just shooting at anything and anyone. So be really, really careful. Again, tonight's topic is really, really touchy. It's about sexual trauma. If you feel like you're getting triggered, if you feel, anxious, or if you're having those flashbacks or anything, please just log off. And again, if I have your number, I will call you directly afterwards to check on you. This is a subject that's really close to my heart because I've been a victim of sexual trauma. I've actually written a book about the trauma. It was really, really freeing, but it was when I was writing this book, you can see how really thin it is. It's not a really big book, but it has a lot of meat packed in this book. And as my uncle would say, I just spilled all the tea. I spilled all the tea. But I wrote about my experience with trauma, with sexual trauma for me growing up. I did unfortunately change all the names in here, so if you don't know me personally, you're not going to know who's in this book and who's not in this book. But mind your business. It's all in the book. I'm going to read the letter to Butch. And this is a letter just letting people know that through trauma, there is dilemma, there is pain, there are scars, they're hidden. Right? We go through life saying, we're over this thing, but there's also healing, salvation, and forgiveness. So it says, Dear Butch, the letter you're about to read is from your niece. I am writing to you to release and let go of all my past and devastating pain that this has caused me. This walk has been long and lonely with so many thoughts. At times, I couldn't bear it. I contemplated suicide, killing myself for more than just once. Once just jumping and letting go. Our family was divided and broken apart. I had no mother, no father, sisters, brothers, or grandmother. No one protected me. I left home desperate at 16 to escape the thoughts and the torture, ending up on my own. I continue on with my life thinking my past was just that behind me. I thought everything was okay and it was normal. I was living my life, and one day while living in Baltimore, I received a call from the district attorney in Philadelphia telling me that you were apprehended in New York and asked if I wanted to pursue my case. 6 years had passed since the time that I was tortured. The district attorney stated that the statute of limitations was almost up to prosecute the sex crimes. I packed my things and I moved back to Philly. Your trial wasn't long. It brought up old thoughts and memories I had buried far deep down in me. I thought it was over, the fact that I had to face you and my family once again. I went through that trial alone with minimum support, keeping a secret of my real reason for me moving back to Philadelphia and to get justice. Having the world drop on me by having my grandmother defend you in court. By God's grace, I have come to love her despite how she treated and portrayed me. The defense team painted me as a fast, disrespectful teenage misfit. After about 6 hours and all the testimony, he was sentenced, my uncle was sentenced to 19 years. 1 year for each account. I won as I thought. I thought I won. I was able to be with family and forget all about you. I went to cookouts. I was invited to Thanksgiving dinners. I celebrated birthdays, and I even hosted the family Christmas party at my house, which had become a tradition. I say had because I don't do that anymore. It had become a tradition. Well, 19 years have come and gone. The old saying, out of sight, out of mind. Well, you pop back up this time. Your time was served. No one told me that you were coming home. I felt something wasn't right. The call stopped. Whispers started. And family started to act weird and funny towards me. The cheers and smiles were gone and the looks came back. I have carried so much anger and resentment with me for 15 years. You came home as if nothing happened. Your life just started where you left off at. Your mother welcomed you with open arms. I felt myself go back into this deep depression, falling at this time. I wanted to stop wherever I landed. I was ready for a fight, having thoughts in my head, what can I do to heal? I needed something to take this gruesome stench away. I'm writing to you to end this battle. I can't win. I've been trying with no avail. I want my family back. I want to be able to go to family functions, to be invited because I'm family. I cried. I was afraid to write you, but my God said to do this for me. I release all hurt, the pain, the anger. My fight is not with you. Learning the true meaning of salvation, Jesus died for my sins, and what an amazing thing he did. In my process of searching in my life, what I was missing once I got saved, I asked God to deal with what I was held back in me. As I laid in my bed fighting with my thoughts, curled up in a fetal position, I cried out to God, please help me. While this was happening again, what can I do? I heard a voice clearly. It said, just let go and forgive. I forgive you without an apology. I cleanse my heart and I remove a curse which I carried, and I release it because it's no longer mine to carry. I love you as God loves me. Sincerely, Tia. This is an awesome book. It gets to the nitty-gritty of sexual trauma, but let's get into what that sexual trauma looks like. Sexual trauma, feeling pressured into any sexual activity. It can be threats of negative treatment, sexual contact, or activities without consent. We'll get about what consent is. It's even when you're asleep. It's even when you're inebriated, drunk. It's still sexual trauma. And I don't want to break everything down to rape and incest and molestation. Sexual trauma, we sex and then trauma. Okay? We're all grown here. It's a feeling when you overpower someone physically with force to have sex. Hey, Elder Sherelle. Now, part 2, we talked about emotional trauma. And it's the experiences of numbness and intrusive thoughts and memories. You're having difficulty identifying with your emotions, and you have difficulty with trusting people. I'm going to turn this down again because you are blowing your horn, honey. So I want people to understand with the trauma, there still are sexual responses that the body goes through. And I'll let you know those things. You'll have flashbacks, feelings of being anxious or on edge. You'll have sleeping problems, disassociation, and avoiding certain places or things that remind you of the victim or the survivor of the traumatic event. Abuse, sexual or any sexual contact. This is exploitation or exposure to inappropriate sexual contact. And why I say inappropriate, because if it's happening, you're probably a child and it's inappropriate for an adult to come at a child that way. Or again, you're in, the date rape drug, and now we have this big thing with sex trafficking, inappropriate sexual content, sexual acts or suggestive behaviors that is unsuitable for certain audiences. This is all your children, even your teenagers. It's unsuitable. Whatever you feed your kids in their minds, they're going to act out, or they're going to, see. When I was younger, to have two people kissing on TV was rare. As my husband was telling me, he's not that much older than me, but I do remember if you had a couple living together, if they showed you a scene at night, there was a twin bed over here and it was a twin bed over there. They didn't even show the couple sleeping together. America and the world has gotten so tainted that you're now seeing lots of things on TV, on the internet, and kids can get a hold of anything right now. They are really tech savvy, so we have to be mindful of the audience that we're talking about this subject around. So sexual acts or suggestive behavior that is unsuitable for certain audiences, particularly minors. And I will let you know what a minor is and what that age is specifically, because I live in Pennsylvania. Due to developmental, legal, or safety concerns. One of the things that I'm talking about is pornography or explicit language that's used in music. We have a lot of things, my God, that's used in music now that's really explicit. And you'll have your 5, 6, 9, 12-year-olds singing these songs, and you wonder why they're talking to you the way they're talking to you, because you singing the songs right with them. Unwanted sexual content that can cause distress, confusion, or promote unsafe sexual attitudes. Now, I be seeing the beautiful little girls on people's pages. They have their hair all decked out with the baby hair in front, and then they'll have the baby dressed up really beautiful, but then you'll see that the baby has makeup on. You know what happened to JonBenet Ramsey, right? Okay. I ain't going to take it there, but we know what happened to JonBenet. So a minor is a not yet reached maturity under a certain age. And this is in the Merriam-Webster dictionary. Listen to this. A minor is considered an inferior or unimportant size or degree, and is an unimportant person under the age of 18. You have to remember, women and children were property back in the day. They weren't considered important. Women had no rights, neither did the children. So then they made it to the only reason why your child is an adult at 18 was for voting purposes rights. If you can understand that. They didn't just say your child, once your child turned 18, that they're an adult. It was only for voting purposes. And I told my kids, my daughter just turned 27, but she 2 years into her adulthood, because you're not grown until you're 25 at least. You haven't experienced anything. So, but that's what a minor is an inferior or unimportant person under the age of 18. The legal care is 16 years and older who can legally consent to sexual activity. And you have to specify what state you're in. In each state, they have their own consent laws dealing with inappropriate sex, laws dealing with rape, molestation, incest. Each state has their different laws. But in Philadelphia, the law is for to consent to sex is 16. Now, they do have this thing called the Romeo and Juliet law. Get this, guys. The Romeo and Juliet law is intended to protect two teenagers in a consenting sexual relationship. There we go. I needed that. This is the Romeo and Juliet law. It is intended to protect two teenagers in a consenting sexual relationship. One of the individuals must be at least 13 years old, and their partner cannot be no more than 4 years older than them. So that they can help these people that's not yet, the 13-year-old can't consent to sex because we just said the consent for the law is 16. But however, if there's a 13-year-old and their partner is 13 or 14 or 16, because it says four, cannot be no more than 4 years older than them, they can say that's consensual sex. There was a lot of laws back in the day, and they still have statutory in some cases where the parents were very upset because the boyfriend may have been 17 and the girl was 14, or 15 and the guy was 20, and they would take him to court and, I want him arrested. He's taking advantage of my daughter. And now I want her arrested. She's taking advantage of my son. They do ask. They will ask, the minor that's involved, have you been taken advantage of? Because if you do a rape kit and they're already having consensual sex. So this law was brought up, the Romeo and Juliet law. Sexual contact can impact on minors. You don't think it can, but it does. It can expose. Exposure can cause fear, shame, and even distress, leading to distorted views of relationships and risky behavior. I say that again because the music that we hear, or the music that's being played, is still downgrading women. I remember when I heard the song Pitbull Red Nose, or whatever that song was, and I'm like, my daughter was singing it, and I'm like, do you know what that means? They're calling you a female dog. No, Mom, they're not. I was like, yeah, let's rewind this and let's go back to it. So we got to remember, you are still influencing your young children, whoever, is out there listening to, I'm going to put it out there, Nicki Minaj, I'm going to put it out there, Doja Cat, all those people, they're bad influences, and it's on the young. I used to see videos with the young babies twerking with their little diapers on, and the parents are cheering them on. You got to be mindful when these kids get to, again, a tweenie age, 10, 11, they're going to be so grown and so out of character, but you're teaching them that. You're letting them know that this is okay. Hey, Pastor Rice, how you doing? Yeah, gave you a shout out earlier, honey. I sure did give you a shout out. Exposure to sexually explicit material. This may shock you. If your kids ride the school bus, Mom Terry on here, tell them, Mom Terry, you never know what these kids are on a school bus listening to or looking at. When I was in outpatient services, when I worked in outpatient services and I did intakes, there was a child that came in, and he had some serious charges on him. He was, I guess, hooked up with this little girl on the back of the school bus, and someone took his phone and took pictures of her. Once they get in school, her picture is now in every child's phone that's in the classroom, until evidently it hits her phone. Now she's freaking out. With her cell phone, she calls her mother. Now her mother's coming up to the school, and her mother wants answers. Oh yeah, oh my goodness, yes, Mom Terry. Her mother wants answers. Not one time did her mother ask her, why are these pictures being taken of you in this compromising position? Her mother just wanted answers to who had these pictures and why were they sending them around to everybody in the classroom. It later came out that these kids was watching porn on their way to school. And but hey, Miss Nicole, back in the day, we played games like catch a girl, get a girl, and hide in a closet for 2-3 minutes to make out with the boy that you like. We played those games. But once your parent found out and they whooped your tail, it was no more games to play. You couldn't even sit on your tail. Now these kids, having their tablets and their phones and all their electronic devices, they have easy access to porn. And on the school bus, they're not the same age. There's a mix of, duration of the kids in the school, on the school bus. Now, these explicit material can lead to a child to think things are normal, and then they could become desensitized to closing your eyes when you see a man and a woman kiss, or closing your eyes when there's a really explicit scene, because it's all over now. You just see a man walking and his butt is naked in a movie. I think Halle Berry got the highest pay when she was naked in the movie with John Travolta. I forgot the name of it. Um, so it can make them desensitized. This is a high risk behavior, and it shapes a child's expectation in relationships. It shapes a child's expectations of physical appearances, and it has a certain sexual act that blurs the boundaries and increases a child's risk of being a victim. The appearances, the physical appearances, everybody is getting them BBLs. I don't care what ethnic race you're coming from. Everybody in every ethnic race is getting BBLs. Caucasian, Caribbean, Asian, people of color, West Indian, African. Everybody is getting those BBLs. If you're seeing it all over. They have the oh God, goodness, what do they call it? The shapers. Lift your butt up, and this lift your breasts up, and this sucks everything in, and it snatches your waist. It'll distort your mind from young girls that grow up and they may not have any. She said, Mom Terry said she's sick of those BBLs. Listen, I used to work in a nursing home. I can't imagine. I can't imagine when the people my age get in nursing homes, if that's the way they want to go, and have big breasts and big butts, and they're 80 and 90 years old. What's going to happen? The first thing that was a fad was the tattoos, and the tattoos was only around for those that were in the military or those that were in jail. Now tattoos is everywhere. One of my mentees got a tattoo. I'm like, why would you get your daughter a tattoo for her 14th birthday? First of all, they hurt. And second of all, it's permanent. You think she can make a decision at 14 as to what she wants on her body? Now, the victimization. I talked about roadblocks. So I've been in my old job for 6 years. I worked at the Wedge for 6 years. I was there for 6 years. But like my second or third year there, I talked about roadblocks because my grandson was now wanting Roblox money. And I'm like, what you need money for? Like, you want something to eat, some pizza? He like, no, I want to, play Roblox. I'm like, okay. And once we started investigating what I was like, you can't play this anymore. You're talking to people in Paris. I don't know if that little boy is really 7 or 8 years old. Roblox has gotten dangerous. There's a lot of parents that are activating and coming together for them to take this thing down. You have roadblocks that can victimize your children. Of course, the internet. You have TV and these famous reality TV shows. The Bad Girls Club. The Basketball Wives. Then they have a men's TV show. I forgot what it was, for the men that are married to the women that may be famous, or the man is famous, whatever it is. All these things going on that corrupts the mind of a child. Even on Nickelodeon, you'll see the children, but you never see the parents. The parents are never there. Yeah, the kids go to school, they come home, they hang out at each other's house, but you never see the parents. So if you never see the parents, your kids are gonna be like, why are you in my face? Like, I'm trying to watch TV. I can make my own food. You don't even need to be here. Because what they see on TV, they think is in real life, and it's not. Now, this may be a little uncomfortable for people. Kids start exploring their private parts from infancy. This is true. Now, wrap your mind around it. If you ever had children, or if you ever changed someone's diaper at a certain age, around like maybe 7 months, once you take the diaper off, the child immediately goes down in that area. If it's a male, he's going to pull his genitals. He's going to pull his penis or try to touch it. If it's a girl, she's going to place her hand right over her labia. Children explore themselves in those private areas at a young age. There's body discovery. And as they get older, I know from my grandson, once he reached 5, I think it was 5, I gave him back up until 5, and when his mom came home, his mom gave him the talk. She gave him the talk. Don't let anybody touch you, no matter who it is. And down there. And so I didn't know that she gave him the talk, and I'm in there giving him his bath, lotioning up the soaping up the rag, and I'm like, "You ready?" And he's like, "No, you're not touching me." I'm like, "What?" He was like, "My mom says for nobody to ever touch me down there. Nobody, Nene, nobody." And I said, "Well, wait a minute. Okay, well, let me at least wash the back off." He's like, "No, just give me the rag. I got it." And I don't know how this young man went behind and he washed from the top all the way up the back. I went in his room. I put his pajamas down and his lotion. He was real slippery that night, but he lotioned himself. And when his mama came home, I said, "So you gave him the talk?" And she was like, "Huh?" And I said, "He told me I couldn't touch him nowhere in his private." And she said, "Yeah, I gave him the talk. I gave him the talk." So as early as 7 months, how young do you think you should be giving your children a talk about inappropriate touching? Not inappropriate sex, because that's not going to come up yet. A perpetrator or a sexual deviant is not going to try to do sex to your child first. They'll do the inappropriate touching and grooming and favoritism and gifts and money. Ages 2 to 6 are a natural part of learning about their bodies. And so if you have a son and your son's around 6 years old, they're going to learn that, "Mom, what are these? I don't have those." So then they're identifying that if I don't have those, I'm a boy. That means mommy's a girl. But mommy, what are these? And if your grandchildren or child ever walked in on you, "What's that down there?" Because yours look different than mine. And this can be between, if your child is talking, between 4 and 6 years old. So the time to have that talk with your child is between 4 and 6 years old, because again, they already know about their bodies, the body autonomy. So give them the grace to say, "No one is able to touch you in your private area. No matter who they are, don't sit on nobody's lap. If you don't want to hug anybody, if you don't want to kiss Uncle Butch and John, you don't have to." Because I know back in the day, "Oh, go ahead and give your Aunt Stu a kiss." No, I don't feel like kissing Aunt Stu right now. No. And then some of my other uncles would just want to kiss me in my mouth. Wait a minute. And so me giving my daughters the talk when they were younger, my daughter in turn gave her son the talk at that age. Untreated sexual trauma, you'll be struggling with broken trust, dysfunctional relationships, some self-harm, some substance use to substance abuse, physical pain, which often causes disruptive daily life living. Again, 15 years. 15 years it took me to get through having broken relationship, not trusting people, dysfunction in my family, dysfunctional relationships, self-harm I did not do. I did have suicidal thoughts. I did abuse substances back then. My physical pain was me not sleeping. I did not want to go to sleep, and I didn't want to sleep alone. And it was just disrupting my daily life because, again, around every year, it's trauma. So trauma doesn't leave you. So it's a scar in your mind. It's never going to leave you, but you can deal with it. You can cope with it. You can be healed and delivered from it. And I still have this thing around the holidays, because we know around the holidays everybody's coming home. And if everybody's coming home to grandma's house, that means the kids got to sleep head to foot. Somebody got to give up their room for the adults to pile in. And even with all these people being in a house, you would figure an adult would see something. The inappropriate touching, the grooming, the favoritism, the giving money. And so from between the last week of October all the way until January, October, November, December, 4 months, I would always lock my door. And this is when I'm an adult. I lock my door. I wrap myself up in a sheet like I'm a tortilla sandwich or a sandwich wrap. Don't want nobody touching me. I shut down. I don't want to be intimate. I don't want to look at anything intimately. I go in this cocoon because that scar is still there, that I'm not going to be safe. Untreated trauma often leads to unhealthy coping mechanisms, including alcohol or drug misuse, eating disorders, and severe disruptions in personal relationships and an inability to trust people. You don't trust anyone. You'll have best friends. You'll have family members that you can call on, but you don't trust anyone. Survivors often develop insecure attachment styles, avoidant or anxiousness leading to fear or intimacy, leading to intimacy problems. So you'll have this constant suspicious and emotional distress of every single person. What does this person want from me? What are they here for? And sometimes that's where you get the people pleasing from. Let me give them what they want right now so they can leave me alone. Constant suspicious emotional distress and self-sabotaging behaviors that sabotage secure, loving connections. So if you do have a great connection with somebody, or if you do find somebody that you know that loves you, you sabotage that relationship. You don't want them to get too close. And if they don't know about your past, you don't want them to know because you're shamed about it. You feel guilty about it. You feel like it's your fault. Deep mistrust of partners. You always think they're untrustworthy. Again, fear of intimacy and abandonment, intense contradicting fear of getting too close, being vulnerable with anyone, while simultaneously fearing someone's going to leave you. So you'll push people away, but you want people to be near you because if you're left alone, something can happen to you. There's emotional dysregulation. And remember, we talked about this emotional dysregulation and emotional trauma last week. You'll have challenges in maintaining emotions, leading to intense conflict, volatility, or shutting down during tense moments. And that was I. I always had intense conflicts. I fought in and everything walking. Miss Carter said, my abuse took me on the road of destruction. And I'll tell you, you'll hear a lot of women talking about sexual trauma. Not from men. Not from men. They can have, and I'm not just talking just about from being a child to maybe being touched by a man or an uncle or a basketball coach. I mean, how can I put this? Growing up that way, you have your uncles and your big brothers pushing you into manhood, I forgot the rapper that said, I'm going to let my son have his life experience of being with an older woman. He takes his son to a brothel at 13. I forgot the rapper's name, and I was like, why would you do that? Matter of fact, Tyler Perry just had it's on Netflix. It's on Netflix about his son and his grandfather, and his grandfather took him to a brothel. This is your rite of passage. Not only are you supposed to drink when you get 18 or 21, to have a drink with your dad, right? The first beer with your dad before you go to the bar with your friends. That. But a rite of passage for a male growing up is to have sex. And it's not going to be with a young person. It's going to be with an older woman. And so when there's sexual trauma, there's either you're hypersexual or you're hyposexual. You don't want sex from anybody. Or if your body is going through those desires, you're the opposite sex. So I'm gay now. I'm a lesbian woman. I don't like men. I like women. And if you've been touched by a man for a man, because it felt good to your body, which is a natural physical human sensation that we all get. Remember, I just said that you start to explore your body as an infant at 7 months. So for that man to be taken advantage of by another man and that sensation felt good, now I must be gay. Some people normalize the toxic behaviors. It's always unconscious. You're doing it. You might see men having 5 and 6 baby moms, and the babies are close in age, back to back. They're chasing that drug, which is the sexual desire that they felt for the first time, that they now want to get back. The same thing for a promiscuous woman. If you had sex too early, listen, I know about these things too. I got delivered and saved by God. Your body is supposed to be for your husband or your wife. And if you're out there having sex too early, that feeling is a drug now. I want to get that feeling back. And Tom ain't giving it to me. John ain't giving it to me. Martin ain't giving it to me. Now you over here messing with Mr. Harry, the sugar daddy. Individuals may have preemptive destroyed relationships to avoid being hurt or struggle with pathology of jealousy and insecurity. And this is when you get to that dysfunctional lifestyle, the revolving door. You don't have no good relationships with people. Although relationship was on a preemptive basis, you give me something and I get something from you, or I'm getting something from you and you're giving me something. A quid pro quo, and that's not good all the time in a relationship. God said, I gave you something. All he wants you to do is just give your life back to him. The hurt, the pain, the shame, the guilt, the dirt, the filth. I read the letter to Butch. And my second book that I wrote, The Healing Journal, I'll read you the letter that I wrote to Lois. They're both in the first book. It says, 85, wow, how does it feel? Life is amazing. I want to give you your flowers, as they say, before you leave this world. First and foremost, I thank you for being the guidance in my life. You have shown me how to be a respected, hardworking woman. I understand what is important in life, doing what needs to be done, paying bills, making sure that I can maintain a home, and showing my daughters moral and values and ethics. A Jones trait, I call it. I appreciate all the hard work you have done. We have never been close. However, I have always had the thought that you were disappointed in me, that I never made you feel proud. That's why I continue to always do my best. Through all the rough times, I still looked up to you, and I still do to this day. And I want to make you proud. I hope I have achieved something to let you know without your tenacity and your grit, there is love in your heart for me. I will not speak of the past because it is behind me. The hurt and the shame of the lonely lost little girl has come full circle. With the love of God, I am healed. With my heavenly Father, I need to forgive you. I release any conflictual torment that lies in between us. Getting to know and love, getting to know and love me, and God says to loose the anger, to let go of the resentment, and to wipe away all pain and sorrow for his son, Jesus Christ, who died for me and he died for you. I hope you take time to get to know who God is. He's again waiting on you. He loves you and accepts you as you are. I have learned so much from just listening and surrendering my life to God. Your gift is the living word. Your life will be abundant and prosperous when you let him in. Now may God of peace himself sanctify you completely, and may your whole spirit, soul, and body be kept blameless at the coming of the Lord Jesus Christ. 1 Thessalonians 5:23. If you are searching for an answer, go back to the Creator, God. He is the only one who can redeem and work in your life to heal any broken pieces. I promise God will turn the impossible to possible. 1 John 1:9. Love, Tia. And I wrote here, well, I gave her the scripture, Psalms 147, verse 3. He heals the brokenhearted and bind up their wounds. That letter, guys, was to my grandmother. I believe this book came out a year after my when horrible things happened. My grandmother passed in 2024. I'm so glad that I was able to write that letter and to get the hate, the resentment out of me for my grandmother. I loved her so dearly. And as I said, everything I did was to try to please her because I was the one who destroyed the family. What's going on over here with y'all? I got to go back and read. Oh, Miss Terry, yeah, yeah. We listen, they never talked about these things when anybody was in the 60s or the 70s, not even the 80s or the 90s. I just bust everything wide open. I bust everything wide open. I don't want to have whatever happens in this house stays in this house. Because it does, like Melissa said, it will turn generational. And as me being a therapist, getting into this field, man, I can write a book on the stories that I've heard from older people in their 60s. Not saying you guys are old, but in their 60s. I even had a person when we did Tamar Speaks at the old church that I went to, Triumphant Faith. One of the mothers, she was 89. She just told her story that day and how it still hurt her like she was that child in middle school with her art teacher. Emotional reactivity. Where was I at? Okay, so remember in the book that I was saying that I had this thing for 15 years. I was reliving these things that was going on in my life that I knew was inappropriate in my marriages. Because before I got married, I was pure. I didn't have my first daughter until I was 18. And I held on to him. And then I didn't have my second one until I was 21, and I held on to him. I thought I needed a man to protect me. Even when my uncle was in jail for 19 years, I needed someone to protect me. So I was reliving the original trauma And it was through all these difficult relationships in my adulthood. So if you see men broken and he might tear a woman down, you feel as though he don't even love a woman, something happened. If there's a man that has multiple children with different women, something happened. Men won't tell their story because how can a man be raped? Remember that part, that physical of your body, it's supposed to be doing what it's supposed to do because God created it that way. Unless you have a physical ailment, erectile deficiency. But for any man, it's going to act the way it's supposed to act because that's how God made and created us. And so you'll have, again, young women. They might not have sex with men, but they're masturbating. Again, it's a drug. It's a sin. You're trying to get back that original feeling. And even though that thing was bad and you feel dirty, your body reacts in a natural way. So sexual trauma, it is a healing process. You can heal through therapeutic approaches, but you have to meet the person where they are. So if someone's coming to you and letting you know, listen, I need to talk. There's something that happened to me in the past, and this is a real issue that I see that we're having. Listen. Get y'all some coffee, some bonbons, and listen, and some tissues. Because listen, that person is trusting you. Remember, trust does not come easily. It's suspicion of everybody. And the first person that I actually had to listen to me that was not a family member that looked at me sideways was my pastor. And I was now clearly an adult with 2 children and married. And I was saying something is wrong. Something is wrong. I have a great job. I have a good family. My husband was a good person, but something was wrong. I was tearing my family apart. Now, I used to say before I got the correct diagnosis that I had OCD. And then my therapist, oh, no, you don't have OCD. You have what they call perfectionism. Again, remember, I told you that I was trying to do everything that I could to please my grandmother. And in the first book, you heard me say that how she betrayed me by going to court and testifying against me. My eye jumping down, like, oh my God, I just can't remember like that happening. But healing is possible. Now, you don't have to take it through a therapeutic side. God cleanses and heals all. He does. I believe he does. He turns the impossible to possible. But if you're taking it to the therapeutic side, you have to meet that person where they are. Some people may not even acknowledge the trauma. It's buried so deep down inside that it never happened. So the first thing that they have to do is acknowledge that this thing happened. And they have to to be there for support, you have to let them know this was not your fault. This wasn't your fault at all. Because if that person's grooming you, hello, they're going to let you know that, don't tell nobody the secret. If you tell somebody the secret, they're either threatening somebody, they're going to harm somebody, hurt somebody, or they're going to kill you. And you'll have some parents or mothers say, why didn't you tell me? We know why you don't tell, because people don't get believed. I wasn't believed as a child. I have some resources that I'm going to give out at the end. And I don't want to What you want to do as a person of trauma or survivor, um, is build on securing good attachments, people you can trust, people that you can talk to, and it starts from here. It starts directly with you. Start praying to God about it. You have to release those things, those awful things. And I will tell you, forgiveness, you don't always come back with an apology. People will not accept the harm that they've done to you. And hence is why this series was done this way, from the physical abuse, to the emotional abuse, to the sexual abuse. It's unheard cries. We see all these people in the world having problems, devastating breakups, bound by emotional attachments, no real relationships, lawlessness, how people were acting. You like, something happened to that person. You'll have a lot of people bleeding on other people. I'm healed and you bleeding on me. And so they call it what? Trauma bonding now? I don't like that term at all. Trauma bonding. And we can't say on social media the S word. We have to say unalived. You're taking away the whole process of hurt, pain, shame, and guilt to being to acknowledging its sin. You have to acknowledge that. So acknowledging its sin, so we know it's wrong, to surrender, to transformation, to correction, to being delivered, and to being saved and sanctified. So I don't want to trauma bond with anybody. And you shouldn't be in a relationship like that. A toxic person with a toxic person, because you both had traumatic experience as adults. It's not going to work. And you have some children making pacts about these things. It's not going to work. God's not going to allow it to work. That's not how he sees fit. Network of Neighbors is a trauma response network. I will give that number out in the chat, in the comment section. We have Philly Hills, which is a free counseling and support group and workshop for people dealing with grief after someone has lost, their life to an overdose. Remember, substance use and substance abuse is a major part of all the unheard cries. We try to deal with the trauma with substance use. And addictions can be anything. It can be gambling, sex, drugs, exercising, eating as well. Mental Health Partners is a peer-driven service that helps peer, I have trauma or I've been, abused. It's peer support. You'll have that peer-on-peer support. They'll help with peer support and case management as well. And then WAR, their old name was Women Against Rape and Abuse. Now I think it's the Philadelphia Coalition or something. But WAR has a 24/7 hotline specifically for sexual trauma. And you can also volunteer on that line. You just have to take, I think, a 2-day class, and you'll have a certificate as a sexual consultant. I've had worked with WAR before. I have volunteered with WAR before. They do have, I believe, free counseling for sexual assault. Sometimes I think they'll do a sliding scale, but I think it's free. JJPI, I'll put up there the JJPI is another institution where if your child, like I was mentioning the young kids on the bus, so I continue tell you what happened to that boy on the bus that had child pornography, is what they call it. For him taking a picture of the little girl that he was in this act with, he was sent to JJPI because he had child pornography in his phone. and his mom and them didn't understand. It's a real rigid law. We know the Megan's law, right? We understand the Megan's law. What happened with Megan's law? Sex offender came out, nobody knew in the neighborhood, and Megan got raped and brutally hurt. So now you have the sex offenders for Megan. You have to go is tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Tier 3 is the highest tier. You can't even be around children. If the perpetrator comes home to try to live a good life, if they have any children in a family that's below a certain age, they cannot even go to that house. The person cannot be around kids. They have to let the people know, the state troopers know where they're going at all times. And they have to go to JJPI. You can get perpetrators can, as they call it, get some trauma or some counseling as well. Again, you never know if that person was abused as a child as well. And they normally say, if you were abused, you're either going to turn into the abuser, then you might abuse, because the behavior is a learned behavior. And hence, with Miss Carla, people, if it looks familiar and normal, well, we ain't saying nothing. Kissing cousins, right? We know that term, kissing cousins. So WAR has a 24-hour hotline specifically for sexual assault, and JJPI they specifically treat the perpetrator and the child, and that child can be a perpetrator. You have to be careful, again, what we're teaching our children, what they're watching, what they're listening to, what they're seeing you do. You have to put those things in play. Mom Terry, what did you say? She said, I thank the Lord for you, Kimball. You're a source of wisdom and inspiration. God gave me this gift, Mom Terry. I'm an open book. I've been called an old soul for years. One of my best friends is on here, Miss Carla. She's on here. She can contest of how I went through, but I've made it over. I have made it over. So I will say, one of the major things that if you don't get anything out of what I talked about this evening, please take away that just because you're having a conversation with the 4-year-old, they understand. They understand. Give them that body autonomy, that their body belongs to them at 4. Let them know no one is to touch you anywhere. You don't have to kiss your aunt. You don't have to kiss your uncle. You don't have to kiss your older brother, the doctor, the teacher, anybody. Everyone is off limits. Everyone is off limits. Even dad, even mom. Everyone is off limits. You will have your daughter sitting on your lap, and some people, everyone is off limits. At 4, their body belongs to them. It's not about them being grown. My mama said, don't touch me. It's not about them being grown. And like, again, when my grandson said that to me, I was like, well, wait a minute. I was a little appalled at first, but I know that I told them about inappropriate touching at a young age. And so I was happy when she came home and she said, yeah, mama, I did the same thing you did. When sexual trauma happens, it's usually the person that is close to you. It's really someone that you don't know. That goes along with even the sex trafficking. The child does not feel loved at home. The child does not feel heard at home. So they go into these little chats, and the person really starts to groom that person. What's going on with you? Acting like they care about that person. All that doesn't sound right. A child can say, I ain't nothing in this house to eat. And the refrigerator full of food. It ain't nothing in them there for them to eat that they want to eat. And so the perception of your home living can be different when a child is not getting emotional love or nurturing from their parents. Someone's getting yelled at all the time. That doesn't feel good. Someone's always listening to you. You ain't nothing. You just like your daddy. That doesn't feel good. So they will seek love from other people outside. And it's perpetrators out there that will have your minds wrapped up. And listen, they're not just men. They're women perpetrators out there. Their number one game is the modeling agencies. They'll suck you into the modeling agencies. Oh, give me some shots of you, and we can put you on the screen and have you on set as soon as next week. Your child will go to this place and it'll look like a professional office, and you'll never see your child again. It was a movie done by that. It was a movie done. A sex trafficking movie done. And again, I'm going to get that name because it's an awesome movie. It always comes on. But we'll talk about a lot of this stuff in April, because April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. You know I do it every year. We'll talk about all these things in April. But for Unheard, cries. When something's going on with a family member, a relative, a coworker, a neighbor, and it seems weird or unordinary, if they still seem like they're always off key or off kill, or they're always angry, give them some grace, because something happened. And untreated trauma is like a ticking time bomb. Ticking time bomb. So guys, that is my show. If you want either the healing journal or the book here, When Horrible Things Happen, just let me know, and I'll order them for you. I believe this one's like $14 and this one's like $19. And that's when I came up with the slogan, like just do it from Nike. As I was going to a lot of conventions and talking and speaking engagements, all I heard was, well, hurt people hurt people. And I don't like that. Because God does heal, he does deliver. So if hurt people hurt people, heal people heal people. We have to understand that God does not want us to be in these tumultuous, distressful states. You can get pulled out of it. I can attest to it. I never used to smile. If we had internet back in the day, you would see any picture that I took. I never smiled. I never smiled. But once I was dipped in that water on January 21st of 2018 and I came up, I tell you, the way I seen colors was different. My eyes was fully opened to Christ. I was fully surrendered to him. He changed my whole thought about life. And the anger that I was carrying for those 15 years was lifted. And so I had to get into the process of, again, looking at myself, what was happening with my family, and then asking God to help me get rid of all this shame, guilt, and animosity and resentment. And I was able to forgive both people. And I'm glad I did it before my grandmother passed, before she passed. If anyone has any personal questions or anything that they would like to ask me, again, go to my DMs. If you have my personal number, you can call me. I am still trying to get my business line and my personal line to connect together. It's a thing with my job. I work for the city, and they have to have all types of codes and stuff on it because I work for the city. I'm still trying to get that connected. I thank you guys for joining me tonight. I'm still upset about TikTok, but we'll get to that. God ain't stopping, his anointing over here. We'll get to the TikTokers next week. March, I'm still going to get my guy to come on from the crisis line, an actual crisis counselor, and he does individual therapy on the side to come talk to you guys about. Yes, Mom Teresa, it was a party, wasn't it? My bad, it was a party. I still see Dawn to this day. I'm still connected to my other sisters that I got baptized with. I believe that was the biggest one that they had us there at Triumph. Yeah, it was a party. It was a party. Praise God, praise God. Praise God for the things that he has taken me from, took me through, and where I'm at now. I thank the Lord. I thank the Lord so much for it. I wouldn't have a relationship with myself. I wouldn't feel proud of myself, my story, my life, my trauma. So I thank God for that. All right, guys, it is 10:10. I gotta get off and get on with my big sis stuff. Revival has prayer from 9:30 to 11. If you want to join, I always tag you in, and well, I post it on my pages anyway. If you want to join that prayer call with Sister Stephanie, that's from our Church Revival Christian Church. So I'm going to get off of here and join my big sister's prayer call. You guys have a good night. My name is Kimball Evans. You're in the Trap Lounge. Thank you. Be safe out there.